I believe it's the electrolytes that just help with all of your body's assimilation of kind of the balance of all the minerals in our body. When you think about nutrients, they're all carriers of another thing. You can't take this without that because it carries it and it distributes the nutrients properly in the body. And really, at the end of the day, Celtic sea salt is like any whole food. Don't process food. Don't, because really, at the end of the day, I think high blood pressure and everybody's thing about table salt, just stop the processed foods and you'll be fine.
Welcome to the Dr. Ashley Show.
Welcome to the Dr. Ashley Show. I'm Dr. Ashley, and today I'm so excited to have with us a guest, Selena DeLangre. She's an entrepreneur, author, philanthropist known for her unwavering commitment to health and well-being. She is the owner and CEO of Selena Naturally, the renowned home of the Celtic Sea Salt brand. Her career has spanned over 4 decades, and she's not only transformed her company, but also made a significant impact in the lives of countless individuals seeking a healthier lifestyle. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks so much for inviting me, Ashley.
Yeah, so I know that, salt has gotten such a bad reputation. We all know this, right? When it comes to health and weight loss, there's so many clients who avoid it when they come into PhD thinking that it leads to high blood pressure and other disease states. I have a totally different perspective. I think that salt is life-giving, that we need it, that it doesn't cause these disease states. And I definitely want to get into this with you, but I'd love for you to start by just sharing your story, how you got into healthy living in general, Celtic sea salt, and I'd love for you to share some of the biggest challenges, you've faced in your 4 decades of entrepreneurship.
That's a lot to answer. But I, grew up in Muncie, Indiana, in a little Midwest town that didn't know anything about food. And I moved to California in the 70s, and I was introduced to macrobiotics. And that's when I realized your food does make an impact on your health. I grew up with really bad migraine headaches my entire life. And so when I realized, wow, if you cut out sugar and processed foods, you can actually feel better. Mm-hmm. So that was really my first introduction to natural products. It was my own health issues. And then,
how old were you?
I was 19 years old.
Oh, okay, pretty early on.
Mm-hmm. But I'd suffered from migraines from puberty on. Mm-hmm. So it was really life-changing to be introduced to the natural products world. And then in the 70s, you couldn't just go to the store and buy tofu or things like that. You had to make it yourself. There was not like Whole Foods today. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of things were made by us, made at home. We made everything, but it was a macrobiotic philosophy. And then I've kind of got away from macrobiotics and really kind of tested a lot of the Maker's diet, the Body Ecology diet, the Tiger's Milk diet, all these different things that have been created with success through the years, tried them all. And had a newsletter for 30 years that we would have people write for the newsletter about different health approaches. And in all of these years, what I recognized is not every diet is for everyone. Mm-hmm. I am not a health professional, but I've been able to experience and witness a lot of people that have died of cancer on a very healthy diet. So it's not everything. It's your thoughts, it's your lifestyle, it's all of that. And that's what I've realized. And Celtic sea salt, it happens to be just one of the most simplest ingredient that you can make a change to, to have a healthier diet.
So talk about Celtic sea salt and a healthy diet. Is salt something to fear? Do you think it's related to high blood pressure? And a lot of the clients in our audience are people who have struggled with weight, they've lost weight, their doctor has told them to restrict salt. Talk about that a little bit.
What I recognize, not being a health professional, that table salt that has anti-flowing agents in it and bleach and all the other additives in it is probably not a way to flavor your food or get the salt. I don't think that's the way that you should be getting your salt. Does it cause high blood pressure compared to a natural salt? Some of the people that I've interviewed in the natural products industry, they've seen that in their clients, just switching them from table salt to natural high mineral salt, such as the Celtic sea salt. They've seen a difference in them. Is it because of the minerals in the salt and it's like a supplement? No. There is not enough magnesium, potassium, or calcium in the Celtic Sea Salt or any of our salts to give you your daily recommended amount. It is just the balanced way you should be eating sodium chloride, because our body is 70% fluid, and in that fluid, it's made up of cations, C-A-T-I-O-N-S, and those elements happen to be magnesium, sodium, chloride, calcium, and potassium. That's what's in the Celtic Sea Salt, the highest minerals there. So by assimilating sodium chloride with those minerals attached is how the body should be eating sodium chloride. So that's really it, just in its natural form.
So it's packaged in a way
that naturally occurring, that comes right out of the salt flats this way. Even the art of harvesting this salt is an art and a science. As the crystals form in the salt beds, and they kind of look like, if you had an aerial view, it looks like rice paddies, kind of laid out. And the water goes in the salt beds, and it sits anywhere from 7 to 14 days as it reaches this perfect, harmonious alignment of elements. And the way they figure that out is the water actually turns red. It's the plankton in the water that makes it turn red. And then they go, okay, it's time to harvest the salt. And then they rake the salt towards them. If they take it too early or too late, the mineral profile is off. So it's an art. It's a real art.
What makes Celtic sea salt? What's the difference between Celtic sea salt and Himalayan sea salt, for example?
It's really the mineral profile. So when we look at salts to bring on, we look at the mineral profile, and we look at a salt that is at least maybe 82% sodium chloride or less. That way there's enough room for the other minerals, magnesium, potassium, and calcium. And then we look at the alkalinity. We don't take anything on that's at least 7.5 or up in alkalinity. What makes it that profile? It's the harvesting, and it's where it's coming from. That's really it, and that's the difference. The Himalayan salt, we have 5 different analysis in the office of all the different Himalayan salts, and it's about 97 to 98% sodium chloride. So it doesn't have the same mineral profile or alkalinity as the salts that we pick up.
Are there some types of salts that have lead in it? Some salts that you need to watch out for?
Lead is in so many things. And right now with social media and with whatever, I guess, narrative that people are trying to share with people, I think their intention is good, to try to educate people where you get lead, arsenic, microplastics, all of it. But at the end of the day, you would have to consume a whole truckload to really be contaminated by these things that these people are saying. I have all of my salts analyzed. I spent over $29,000 one year just having all the salts analyzed of every single element that's in the salt. And yes, there is lead in it, but there's lead in apple juice, and there's lead in a lot of natural occurring things, and that's just it. Even clay has different traces of aluminum, but it's a naturally occurring aluminum. And so I get this all the time, but we back it up with analysis, and we have to write, different rebuttals or whatever it is that people want to say that this is it. But I'm very responsible, and I take every single comment seriously. So if one person calls me and says, I'm concerned about the lead, I will personally call them and just show them the analysis and show them, you tell me what information you have, because they will come out and say Celtic sea salt has all these things in it, but they don't have the proof, so I do.
You were just in Africa, and you mentioned that some lady in your group went to their doctor.
Yeah.
They mentioned high blood pressure. So just share that story.
Oh, my gosh. So there were 7 women at this yoga group that we went to in Africa, in Cape Town, and the woman that hosted us, she had her own, bed and breakfast or whatever, and she's so beautiful, healthy, 72 years old, and they said, God, you're so healthy. Have you always been so healthy? She said, yes, but I went and had some lab work or blood work done, and they said, your blood pressure looks a little bit high, but it's okay, just get on Celtic sea salt. And this was in Africa.
Yes.
Can you believe that? I was blown away. So the word is getting out that something so simple as a mineral like this can really make a big difference in your health, and it can.
How does it do that?
By bringing more harmony into your electrolyte balance. So if you think of yourself, if you've been in an accident or had any kind of trauma, the first thing they put you on is a saline solution to keep you from going into shock. That's like a no-brainer. That's Salt 101. Well, Celtic Sea Salt does the same thing. It will bring you into more of a homeostasis place. That's why a lot of people on social media, they have their own little tonics and their own little soles that they do in the morning. They'll have a glass of water next to their bed, and before they get out of bed and they start moving around, they actually put the salt either on their tongue or in the water, and they drink that to give them a more alkaline balance, because we wake up in kind of an acid state.
Yeah,
and it really
dehydrated.
that.
When it comes to weight loss, consuming adequate salt is so important, and consuming electrolytes. Yeah, because during the process of weight loss, we're letting go of fluids, our electrolyte balance is shifting. And so I find that a lot of people who are dropping weight and they have headaches or feel lethargic or brain fog, it's just an electrolyte balance and they need more salt.
Wow. That's pretty neat. I didn't realize that with weight loss.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Wow. Yeah.
With your company, as I've watched you, it's just exploded in the last 2 to 3 years. I would love for you to share why you think that is, and then what your biggest challenge has been in providing your products to the market.
It was a couple things. One is there's a Dr. Barbara O'Neill that she actually wrote for my newsletter 35 years ago. So she's been a part of the company for a long, long time. And she was in Australia, New Zealand, and now she's in the United States. And she went viral and just telling everybody about the Celtic Sea Salt. And then a lot of people tagged on that and would take clips of her and use it for their things too, to promote. And then I just finished my book, and I've done several podcast interviews with Christian Northrup, Paul Chek, some people that it's pretty awesome. It's almost like full circle, because these are people that wrote for my newsletter before the internet. So I had a newsletter with 82,000 members that subscribed to the newsletter. And this was before Amazon and before the internet. We were educating people on, back then it was like flax seeds. Now it's gluten sensitivity. Back then it was like, you know what I'm saying?
It's just shifted.
It's just shifted. And I've been able to watch it through all these decades of what people talk about in their narrative with health and nutrition. And like I said before, I have watched people eat the purest, cleanest diets, and they still are not in optimal well-being. So it's more than just food. I want everybody to know that. It's your thoughts, it's your environment, it's how you process so much. And, you know, I definitely believe that food is important, but you got to get all the elements of your whole life together.
Yeah.
And as far as how have I handled it, that's just it. That's what I'm telling you. This I do really well, but my health has been compromised because of stress, and it's amazing what stress can do. And I've read a lot of books, and I follow a lot of these gurus, and I'm still like, what the heck? Why am I come home so stressed? Or I'll get a call from, you know, Dr. Brownstein saying, I'm getting ready to talk to 1,200 people, Selena, and I can't get the salt. And oh my gosh, I'm just so,
Hey there, need extra support staying hydrated while shedding pounds and maintaining weight loss? Introducing Dr. Ashley's Electrolyte Plus, which I created just for this purpose. Packed with evidence-backed ingredients like vitamin D, C, and zinc for immune support, B vitamins for energy, and a blend of full-spectrum electrolytes and minerals to hydrate, stabilize glucose levels, and curb cravings. Visit drashleywellness.com and use code ASHLEY10 for 10% off your first purchase or 20% off your first subscription order with free shipping. Plus, enjoy a 30-day money-back guarantee. Back to the show.
So, you know, trust, faith, all of those things are just as important as eating good food.
What is your rituals, your routines, I think, to support the best health and your mental?
I wake up, before I get out of bed, I do, it's a prayer ritual that I do, and I call it a blessing ball. And I put my hands together, and I hold energy in between my hands, but I also put myself in there, and I ask to see everything through God's eyes. I ask to be a reflection of God. I ask to be open to anything that there is that God has brought me in this lifetime to serve. And then I go into my children. I say, I want Carla, George, Maya, Kai in this blessing ball, and I'm doing this. I do Colette, Elliot, her, and then I go from there to my mother and fathers and my sisters by name, and then I go into all of my relatives by name, all of my friends by name. Not by name, but all of my friends. Sometimes names come up. All of my employees, I bless every one of my employees. Every crystal of salt that comes into my building, I put in this blessing. I put every person that's touching the salt as a customer is blessed, and my intellectual property. So I go through this whole blessing ball, and I say, and I surround all of this with infinite light and love. And then I take it and put it into my body. And I say, now I'm going to take these blessings into my entire body and saturate my whole body with this. And it's going to be so abundant. It's going to come out of my body into this room, into this neighborhood, into this city, state, country, continent, and now touching the Creator. And now together we're co-creating these blessings of everything. I will not start my day without that, no matter where I am and no matter what. I have my salt or my aquan next to my bed, and I put this in my mouth before I actually get out of bed.
Do you really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. Mm-hmm. I notice that I'm much more balanced because I have a fight or flight personality, such as
we're kind of similar.
Yeah.
I'm asking all of you.
I know, exactly.
I can take these two.
So even at night, it's like if I wore one of those rings, which I did once, and I said, this is depressing. I'm taking that enough. I took mine off. She's still on a ring. Yes.
To detract this adrenal.
I was like, what the heck? I already know I'm waking up tired. But if I don't do this, I'm even more tired. So I do need that kind of to get me balanced in the mornings. And then I will do Pilates or I will do meditation. It really depends because sometimes I do my meditation in the morning or at night. I went to a Joe Dispenza thing. Ashley went with me. It was so great. It changed my life. And so I still do my meditation, and that's my morning.
Do you eat in a certain way?
No. That's just it. My health has been very up and down, and I think it's really because of my stress, not because of what I eat. But so I am not really proud of how I eat. I eat only organic. I don't eat packaged or processed foods, but I could go all day and not eat. So I'm kind of one of those people like, did you eat? Yeah, did you eat? You know, you better eat. And I have to, I don't live to eat, I eat to live. You know?
We're similar in that way.
I know.
For the aquan, can you explain what it is? I have used it before and I love it. And when my kids are sick, I give it to them.
Yes.
It tastes like seawater.
Yeah, it does. It tastes like tears of seawater. And that's basically what it is. It comes in these little, we used to bring it in glass vials, which is very popular in Europe, to take your supplements with a glass ampule that you break open. But we were able to do this new cutting-edge packaging, which is a lot safer to carry around, and you don't cut yourself when you break that open. So basically, it's seawater, and the way they extract it, this comes from the coast of Brittany, France, near the Celtic Sea, and they have a boat that goes out into the water, and there's a screen in the boat that shows a satellite vision of the water. And they look for like a neon green circular vortex, and that green vortex is phytoplankton, and it's a concentration of the phytoplankton in that area. And so they stop the boat, and that's where they extract the seawater out.
Oh, so it really is seawater.
That's all this is. It is seawater. So, but they don't just extract it from anywhere. The reason they extract it from the high phytoplankton blooms is because it's pre-digested minerals. So the Celtic sea salt, when you take it, it will still have to go through the digestive system. This goes like right through the brain barrier, right into the cells instantly and immediately. And it's to a perfect composition because it's added, structured spring water is added to it. So the isotonic is much milder, really great for children to just drink all day long, no problem. The darker hypertonic has a lot more sodium in it. So this is if you work out and sweat a lot, if you have trauma, diarrhea, crying, or anything like that, that's what the darker one is for. But my grandchildren take it all the time, too. As a matter of fact, there was a neurologist that when my granddaughter Maya had her first seizure and we went to go see this neurologist, he explained her condition was she had a mitochondria deficiency, which she was not absorbing her nutrients. So people, especially autistic people, have that problem, and that's why they're on these more bioavailable supplements, because they can't take the nutrients from the food. That was Maya's condition, and he said, you need to get her on this Quinton liquid, not knowing that it was my...
Did you have that already?
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, he was blown away. So, and we've experimented actually with Maya taking this or not taking this, and also with CBD. So I don't want to give this credit, all of the credit for Maya's seizures to that, but she's also on CBD for her seizures, and I think it's really worked.
How does the role of electrolytes play in the importance of maintaining hydration levels?
Well, according to Dr. Batman Gulich, he wrote a book called Your Body's Many Cries for Water, that you really cannot hydrate without the right molecular structure of the minerals with the water. So you need to put a little bit of salt in the water when you drink it. I am not a doctor, but it does make sense. If you just take water without those magnesium, potassium, and calcium, your body, who knows what it's going to do with it. It might even make you deplete nutrients. I don't know. You know, like if you drink distilled water that doesn't have anything in it. But I believe it's the electrolytes that just help with all of your body's assimilation of kind of the balance of all the minerals in our body. When you think about nutrients, they're all carriers of another thing. You can't take this without that, because it carries it and it distributes the nutrients properly in the body. And really, at the end of the day, Celtic sea salt is like any whole food. Don't process food. Don't, because really, at the end of the day, I think high blood pressure and everybody's thing about table salt, just stop the processed foods and you'll be fine. You know what I mean? It's really the processed foods. It's not salt that's the real culprit.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And the body wants to maintain this specific balance. So if we just drink plain water, it can dilute that precious balance. Right?
That's what I think.
Yeah.
See, you're a lot more educated than that to me. I take the responsibility of bringing the finest salts, making sure that people can trust me with these salts, with their mineral compositions and everything. Everything I've learned is just from these interviews or somebody telling me about the benefits, the health benefits.
When you're selecting a salt, what do you look for? Like, how do you know it's going to be a good quality
The
salt?
mineral content. It's very easy. We do have a salt that's 99.63% sodium chloride, but nothing is added to this salt. The only way it comes to be this sodium chloride is because it's been washed and boiled 4 times. Why do we have that salt? Because there's some ingredient customers that don't want the minerals.
Oh.
Some people don't want all those minerals as an ingredient. They want just pure with no iodine, no free-flowing agents. So we do actually have a salt, but I don't recommend it for people to eat as a diet. It's fine for an ingredient customer, because the amount of salt that's in an ingredient, you're not going to be getting the calcium, the magnesium, the potassium from that anyway. So we do bring that on, but it's really just the mineral profile and the alkalinity. That's how I determine. And then also, if I've been to different salt places and I have to go there myself to make sure it's of the integrity that they say it is, I have to make sure that there is no potential pollution that could happen, like my salt that comes from Portugal. There are 3 other salt sources, but they're right next to a sewage plant. So if it rains a lot, there's potential. So I have to make sure that there's no, potential contamination. I want to make sure that the employees are treated fairly and well. There has been some, like in Haiti, when I started the salt production there, I had to bring people from France to help them with their salt production, to teach them different methods on how to harvest it correctly. And that's how I select it.
And you go and see all of the places.
Yeah, every salt we have, I've visited them. And I'm not going to Pakistan, and that's where Himalayan salt comes from.
Sticking to the Celtic.
Yeah, exactly.
Will you talk a little bit about your book and why you wrote it?
Yeah, absolutely. In Her Element, this is a book, and it was created because we were having a meeting at the office, and the founder of the company, Jacques, my father-in-law, wrote a book called Sea Salt's Hidden Powers, and it was the first introduction that there is a difference in salt, and it was great. It's just that there were things that he put in his book that were not, I couldn't prove with an analysis. So I couldn't go back to print with it and stand behind it. So I said, okay, then I need to write my own. It didn't seem fair to do his anyway. And it started where I was going to write Your Body's Many Cries for Elements, for minerals. As I started doing that, I thought, Google has the answer to everything I'm writing about. Everybody can get it. And something led me to say, people are going to appreciate my story more than the nutrition part of the salt. Mm-hmm. You can get that on Google. Mm-hmm. So it kind of morphed into In Her Element. And in the book, I was motivated because the customers are constantly asking questions, and the staff said, why don't you write a book? And then we could just send them the book. And that's why I wrote the book. And at the beginning of the book, I did share a lot of what Jacques did share about sea salt and how important it is for our body to eat sea salt, a salt that has minerals. And then I wrote about every source and how I found every source, and a little bit of drama with it. And then I wrote about my son. I had a son that was born when I was 20 years old, and he was born with cerebral palsy and epilepsy. And he lived to be 28 years old, and he crossed over in 2007. And so I wrote about that story. So, because in my opinion, humanity is just a whole bunch of stories that keep us going. It started way back with the Bible. Yeah. And I just feel like stories impact. So now I have the opportunity to not only share my book with other business owners, give people the confidence that I'm doing what I should be doing and they can trust my salt, and also an outreach that if I can help a parent, a mother, a father with a special needs child, I'm there to support that too. Not that I'm an expert, but I've been there, done that.
You've been through a lot.
We all have, but I think everybody could write a book. Everybody should write a book, I think.
Was it healing for you?
It was so healing. It was very hard because I really poured a lot out, and I was very transparent in the book. But it was the best thing. I get people, that will write me letters saying, thank you so much for your book. I was getting ready to stop doing my business, but when I see what you've been through, it gave me life to keep going. People with special needs children has called me. So it has been not just healing for me to get it out and on paper, but also it feels good when you can share your trials and tribulations to help other people.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the point of them, isn't it?
I think it is. I think that's why we have them. Yeah.
Will you share with us your most significant testimonial you've ever heard?
Yes, I will. It was probably about 1999, a woman called, and she was in tears, and she said that her husband was in bed. He'd been in bed for a couple of years with no energy, very lethargic, just no spark, couldn't even walk to the bathroom without her standing next to him and getting him to the bathroom. And she read the book, Your Body's Many Cries for Water, by Dr. Batman Gulish, for whatever reason. And she got the salt, gave him some salt, and she said the next day he was walking around the block.
No way.
That just goes to show you, if you're in an accident, what keeps you from going into shock?
The salt.
So and he hasn't been on salt for years. They took him off salt. His body was dead. It didn't have any charge for his battery,
Yeah.
So as soon as he got it, he just woke up, And I'm just going, are you sure? Yeah, that's what really happened.
Where can people get Celtic Sea Salt?
Yes, you can get it. You just have to be patient. Really, God is so good and really blessed us. But like I said, the frustration is just not being able to get it to people. My salt suppliers have enough capacity to fulfill all the salt we need. It's me being able to scale up fast enough to get my production to convert it into the finished product. But if you want to come by, and I'll just give you a sock full of salt. Because I got the salt. It's really just the manufacturing and production. You can get it. It is on Amazon. We had to cut Amazon off because couldn't keep up with the orders in May. But there are sellers on Amazon, iHerb, Thrive, Whole Foods, Publix, Ingles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see it in restaurants, on tables, everywhere.
Yeah, you can
So it's
do that.
still there.
And that's something on the business element that I've done is I realized there are a whole lot of needs for salt. So I went to every single place that you could use salt. So the doctors, the ingredients, I went very diverse as far as my distribution. I also realized, how do people make decisions? Humans make decisions either from what their doctor tells them to do, what their preacher tells them to do, or what a celebrity's doing. Everybody, that's how their decisions. So I went for all of it. So I built relationships with doctors. We have over 3,500 doctors that personally recommend the salt, and I built relationships and showed them you can trust me. And then I went to the celebrities, and I built some relationships with the celebrities so that if there's an opportunity that I can get in front of a celebrity, I will get the salt in front of them. And then through churches, because there are some churches that realize it's their responsibility to help their congregations also be a better steward to their health and well-being. So there are some churches. So, Dr. Malcolm is from Hallelujah Acres, and there's several other churches that do that. So that's how I built the brand, is building relationships in all the categories of how people make decisions.
Yeah, that's so true. The power of influence.
And that's really it. That's all it's about. And for the movie stars, it's like, it's very, kind of like trendy. For the doctors, it's a very easy conversion. They don't have to get on supplements. It's, $5 for a pound of salt that lasts for 3 months.
Yeah.
Very easy. And for churches, we are the salt of the earth.
I love that.
You know what I mean?
Thank you so much, Selena. Where can people find your book?
On Amazon.
Okay.
And I also have it in Audible, and you can get it on Amazon.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me,
Yeah,
Ashley.
my pleasure.
Thanks.
Remember, you got to step up to make the change. Lead with your heart, train your mind, and don't negotiate with your body. I'll see you next time.